So tomorrow I'm flying back to San Andres, the bigger island. I'll have a day and a bit there, and then I'm flying back to Bogota. Bogota is really just going to be a short and sweet stay, as I'm then flying in just under 2 days to Quito in Ecuador, which is mega exciting to completely change my scene, because I've actually been in Colombia now getting on for 3 months, so my permission to stay here is running low, and we'll go see what another place is like. My suspicion is it will feel probably more like Peru. I was taken by how different Colombian culture is from Peruvian. I'm sure it's a kind of lazy predisposition to think that, you know, all South American countries will be the same. Of course, that couldn't be further from the truth. And I think the culture, I think the attitude, the way people talk, the way life goes on is different in Peru from Colombia, no question, and quite strikingly so. So it will be really interesting to see how Ecuador differs from Peru and from Colombia. And like I say, my suspicion, though I could be entirely wrong, is that somehow it will be perhaps a bit closer to the Peruvian culture, in part because they too had some of the overlap of the Incan Empire, which didn't stretch really into Colombia all that much, so I'm led to believe. So I don't know if that will have a bearing on things. We'll just see. And then, so starting in Quito, I'm going to be hunting for some voluntary work. Hopefully find something nice to do. Need to do some more immersion stuff, really. I speak Spanish now, I think, fairly comfortably, but I still find the listening can be quite challenging. Strangely, I find South American accents much harder than Spanish accents. Every now and again I meet someone who's Spanish, and people always say, oh, the Castilians, they speak so fast, and they have kind of such a pronounced accent. But I think because I was taught by lots of Spaniards originally, that has had a big impact on my listening. So I tend to understand Spaniards better than I understand South Americans. But there you go. I think generally I understand people when they speak slowly. It's that because I speak quite good Spanish, people forget to speak slowly to me, and that's when I get a bit stuck and need them to repeat themselves about 3 times before I get what they're going on about. Now I don't know if it's coming up on the camera. I'll just go silent for a minute so that you can hear, I hope, what I hear. That's got to be frogs, right? It's good sound. Some marvellous animals. Marvellous sounds out here. I think one of my favourite sounds of all time I got in the rainforest, of these birds that are nicknamed drop waters, because as their name suggests, they sound like kind of water dropping into a pool. That is a wonderful sound. Ah. Pretty. One thing I didn't expect to happen, but that finally did, is I discovered I quite like the coffee, the Paisa coffee in Antioquia. Paisa is the nickname for the communities in Antioquia. It's kind of like country folk. And yeah, they have this fresh sweet coffee they make. Oh, it's so good. So good. It's not bitter in the slightest. It's such a lovely taste. Actually, the hotel I'm staying in serves, I'm guessing, kind of imported, probably freeze-dried coffee or something, and it's not a patch on the stuff in Antioquia, I'll tell you that. So who knows, maybe I'll only like coffee when it's extremely fresh and from a region that grows it. But yeah, what I tasted there was beautiful. Such nice coffee. I tried fresh cacao as well. Just the roasted seeds. So good. I mean, just naturally kind of sour and sweet, kind of very, very, you know, like a dark chocolate, as you'd expect. Really, really nice. Wow, that sound, it's incredible. I love it. It's kind of slightly spooky even. They've all gone quiet now I've gone near them. There was one very close to here. I'd love to see if I could get one on camera, but if they're here I can't see them. They're well hidden. Or very small. Another sound I hear not so far away is the drone of some type of insect, a swarm of them anyway. Couldn't tell you what. Haven't seen bees or wasps or hornets in on this island. Haven't seen a great deal of any of those on mainland Colombia actually. Not that we're anywhere near mainland Colombia now, actually closer to Nicaragua than Colombia. But yeah, anyone's guess. The only ones I've seen really in abundance in Peru and Colombia are these black wasps that supposedly don't sting, which in itself makes me like them a lot more. But yeah, strikingly strange looking things. Very big head, very, very thin middle, and then very big abdomen. It's like a flying dumbbell almost. Whoop, 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 whoop. Yeah, so I've not made huge plans for Ecuador as yet. I'm sort of in need of some internet so I can start organising voluntary stuff. That would be my priority, my preference. But we'll have to see. I feel like I've on and off done ample touristing. It's nice to do something a bit more useful with one's time. And it's enjoyable in different ways. I quite like getting my hands dirty and having a go at manual labour. I'm fairly fit for it, so that's not a problem. Yeah, so hopefully I'll nail that. And then a longer term plan is to actually head out to Cuba. But one of the factors that's going to decide that one is getting the tourist card to do so, which I've heard is easier said than done, only that generally you organise it in the UK and need to go to the Cuban embassy or have the Cuban embassy send you something, and that's obviously not going to be convenient at this point in time for me. So the question is, can I negotiate with the Cuban embassy in Ecuador, if they have one, or the consulate, to get a card and fly from Ecuador? We'll just have to see, I think. We will see, we will see. I think if that fails, I may head from Ecuador to Mexico. Set that as my next stop. Okay, stairs to the right. I mean, in amongst everything, I suppose I do miss home sometimes as well. There may come a point where I simply just say, yeah, that's enough. I don't think I'm there yet. I think mixing up what you do when you travel is important, because it can come to feel kind of absurdly samey if all you're doing is sightseeing. It's I've met quite a few people who have just travelled, and for long periods of time, I mean years even sometimes, and quite often they seem kind of bored. And I find it, striking, because I myself, I don't think I could just travel straight. You've got to fill your time with other stuff, whatever that may be, if that's volunteering or remote working or something, to give you a bit of variety in your diet of stuff. For my part, I also have various projects going on, mostly for fun, but projects that keep me invested in programming, since that's my trade. And honestly, I think they add a lot to the experience of travelling. They're things I've wanted to work on for a long time and to have the time to do, so it's a real privilege to be able to invest some quality time in kind of hobbies. But I think, again, if I'm not really fussed about partying and all that kind of stuff, and for me, I think if you're one of these people who wants to go out all the time, absolutely fine, each to their own. But you are going to get bored. I mean, drinking is drinking, partying is partying. It kind of, in the end, it doesn't matter that greatly where you do it. and it's going to get samey, I think. Which is why, you know, spending one's evenings doing, you know, sometimes I go out if I meet a nice group of people or whatever, I'll go out, but otherwise it's quite nice to have a project you can invest in for the evening. Every day you push it a bit further and make some good progress, and that's really satisfying. I think this recording will be one way. My feeling is that there's no circular route or anything, one way or another. I also have to go grab my bike just back at the start of this trail. So I think once I get to the summit, if I've got battery enough to get to the summit, I'll call it a day. Couldn't tell you how far we've got to go to get to the summit, but you know, therein is the adventure, and it wouldn't be called Jay Gets Lost if Jay always knew exactly where they were going. My most recent minor achievement, actually, speaking of projects, is I finally finished the second Harry Potter in Spanish. I don't know if I've got the energy to persevere and read the third one now in Spanish. Maybe head all the way through to the end of them. But yeah, it was a good challenge. I think the thing for me is at times the translation is quite fiddly. Rowling's works aren't the easiest, actually. So particularly towards the end I found some of the vocabulary quite difficult, which, you know, when you're getting to a critical bit is quite frustrating, because you want to know exactly what's going on, and you're losing your place and having to switch between a dictionary and the book the whole time. Can get a bit difficult. Well, this is very pretty. Puts me in mind a bit of kind of Mediterranean landscapes. It's funny, I've always been kind of intrigued by the small islands one sees on Google Maps and so on. I'm sure at some point when I've been bored, I've scouted my mouse over this very island. Got no memory of doing so, other than that I quite often like looking over islands, and so there's every chance I've seen this island on Google Maps before. It is kind of right in the middle of nowhere. Former pirate base of Captain Morgan. And actually, there's a teeny tiny island at the north of this island called Santa Catalina, and there they've got the remains of fortifications, which I'm guessing were put in place by the pirates. Very cool to see. They've just got the old cannons there, as they were, really. Quite cool. Whew.